Would you flip this house? A real estate agent I know, and who's been on my channel before, Rodney the Realtor, picked up a new listing here in Tampa. He knows I do real estate investing and shared it with me as a potential flip. Let's take a look at this property together and see if it's one that I should do. First, Rodney, how about you introduce it for us?
All right, welcome. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in Seminole Heights. It's around 1,128 square feet.
Okay, so this is a 3-bedroom and 2-bath house. This is a great configuration for a house. It's very easy to find buyers for a house like this because it can fit a couple or a family with kids. 2-bed homes have a much more limited market, and the same with 5 or 6-bedroom homes. 3 and 4-bedroom homes are the sweet spot and what you normally want to look for. Now, 1,128 square feet may sound small to some of you, and even in some neighborhoods in Tampa it is, but it's actually pretty typical for this neighborhood, so this isn't going to be much of a concern to me. As Rodney mentioned, this is in an area called Seminole Heights. Now here's where you need to know your city neighborhoods well. Seminole Heights is an up-and-coming part of Tampa, and houses are fetching good prices. But this home is more specifically in a sub-neighborhood called Southeast Seminole Heights. So it's picking up some of the same buzz, but prices are going to be a little bit lower here than in the core of Seminole Heights. When evaluating a flip, you need to look at the comps or comparable sales to get a good idea of what the home will be worth after the rehab. Now in a denser, older part of town, like what we have here, a difference of a couple blocks can make a huge difference in price. If we used comps from the core Seminole Heights area to estimate what we could sell this for, we'd be making a huge mistake and greatly overestimate its after rehab value, or ARV. I'm going to take a look at Zillow to see what prices homes have recently sold for in this neighborhood, staying within just 2 to 3 blocks of this house. Now Zillow can be a great tool to do this because I can filter for just 3-bedroom and 2-bath houses between 1,000 and 1,500 square feet. And as I scroll through here, I'm seeing that $350,000 might be a good target price. We even have one here that sold for $400,000. I'll come back to this and take a closer look at the comps and see if I can get a better feel for the features that drove the prices. $350,000 to $400,000 is a big range, and I want to get a much tighter target price than that. But I'll go with $350,000 for now. Let's see what Rodney has to say about the neighborhood.
For this area, this is a really hot area. This is Seminole Heights. There's a lot of new shops coming up. Homes in this area are selling for $300,000 and over, and they're only under 1,000 square feet.
So $350,000 is probably a pretty good estimate. Now that we have a rough idea of the neighborhood potential and our potential sales price, let's take a closer look at the house. Rodney, what else can you tell us about it?
It has a new roof. The AC is around about 3 years old.
So that's 2 pluses right there. A new roof and a newer AC. Right away we can eliminate $20,000 in potential rehab expense. That's the good news.
If you're looking for an investment, like I was saying, with at least $30,000 in, you could sell this home for $350,000.
So Rodney is estimating about $30,000 in rehab. That's a reasonable guess for a light rehab, but let's take a closer look and see if we come up with the same number. The first thing I'm going to check is the age of the house. Every generation of housing has its drawbacks, so we need to figure out what we're going to be dealing with on this one. Now here's the bad news. This home was built in 1962 and still has its original plumbing and electric. No matter how good the place looks when the rehab is finished, this is going to pop up on an inspection report and could scare buyers away. We'll come back to this. The next thing you'll want to look at is the kitchen. As we can see here, it's got newer appliances and the cabinets are in pretty good shape, but it's got cheap countertops. You might be able to get away with just new countertops here. The next thing we'll look at is the bathrooms. We can see that everything is pretty worn here. The tile work, the vanity, the faucet, etc. This is probably a complete gut job here. Now I didn't get video of the second bath, and as you can see in the pic, it doesn't look too bad here. But I'm going to assume it's got the same wear and tear as the other one, and we'll have to gut it. The tile flooring in this house is pretty dated, so I'd put in new tile throughout. That's 1,200 square foot of tile flooring. Windows are something else you have to look at, and these windows are starting to look a little ragged. I'd probably replace them as well. And you're going to want to give the house some curb appeal, so it looks like this is going to require an entire exterior paint job and some landscaping. So let's recap. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,128 square feet. It's got a new roof and newer air conditioning, but the rest of the house needs a lot of attention. Plumbing, electric, kitchen and baths, windows, flooring, etc., etc. We haven't even looked at specific costs yet, but that is probably in the $80,000 to $100,000 in expense, a lot more than the $30,000 we started with. Now there's two approaches that can be taken here. One is to do all of the work I've mentioned, and the benefit of this is that you end up with an almost brand new house. This is much more attractive to the buyer and gets through the inspection process more easily. It costs more and takes more time, but selling it is a lot easier. The other approach is to only repair or replace what is absolutely necessary. Gloss over things and just make it look pretty. For example, leave the electric and plumbing alone. Instead of new tile, go over the existing tile with linoleum, etc., etc. It's faster and much cheaper. In a hot market when there's a lot of competition for houses, you can get away with this. But one thing you should know, when you buy a home in Florida, if the home is older than 40 years old, you're going to be required to get a 4-point inspection. This looks at the roof, electric, plumbing, and AC. Now we already know it's got a new roof and newer AC, but the plumbing and electric are going to pop up on the inspection report. It doesn't mean that the sale can't go through or that the buyers can't get insurance, but it could rattle first-time home buyers. The plumbing could have future problems with galvanized or even lead pipes leading to low water pressure. And with the electric, you're probably not going to be able to run all of the modern appliances in a kitchen, such as an air fryer and microwave, without tripping a breaker. Even experienced home buyers might notice these things. Some flippers will take the chance and not worry about this and hope that a buyer doesn't care, but that's a gamble. Let's get back to the numbers. The asking price for this house is $290,000, and the after rehab value we're working with here is $350,000. That gives you $60,000 to work with. If you sell the house for $350,000, you're going to have about 6% in selling expenses, or about $21,000. So now you're down to $39,000 to work with. You're going to have carrying costs from the time you acquire the property until the time you close on the sale of it. If you do a light rehab, you can probably get it back on the market in 2 months. And if you get a buyer right away, close in about another 2 months. But that's a best case scenario. So let's add 2 months here and make it 6 to be safe. On a $290,000 purchase, if you finance it, you're going to have about $2,500 a month in carrying costs, plus figure another $200 a month or so for utilities. So that's $2,700 a month times 6, or $16,200. Subtracting that from the $39,000 leaves us now with about $23,000 to work with. That's less than our $30,000 light rehab estimate. So at $290,000 purchase price, even a light rehab isn't going to be feasible here. If I was going to be doing a light rehab, I'm probably looking to buy this at a price closer to $260,000. That's quite a bit lower than the list price.
Is listed at $290,000, and everything is negotiable in real estate. So just send an offer. You may could get it lower than $290,000.
Okay, so there is the possibility that the seller might be flexible. But are they flexible enough to go down to $260,000? You probably won't know until you make that offer. I can tell you that I wouldn't try to get away with a light rehab on this. I'm going to go all in and do all of the repairs that I mentioned earlier, and so I'm going to need to buy it for closer to $200,000. Chances are the seller is not that motivated. But there are flippers out there that will take the chance with the light rehab and might even be able to get it done with less expense than I estimated. So we'll have Rodney come back and tell us what ends up happening on this. Would you do this flip? What would you need to buy it for to make it worthwhile for you? Let me know in the comments.